Hello, what have we here?
You're wrong.
Damn! What the hell was that?
Game over, man. Game over.
You're wrong.
You finished?
Well, I didn't think you had it in you.
I'm your huckleberry.
Greetings, boys and girls, lemurs and squirrels, and welcome to the Week in Geek, a wholly owned subsidiary of Free Range Idiocy, wherein we, your hosts, present our midweek dose of geekery for you, the people. Sit back and relax as we scrape the best news we found off the bottom of the interweb shoe and let you know exactly how we feel about it. I am your Uncle Todd. And with me, as always, is the lead editor and chief bottle washer of the Week in Geek. I give you the man, Pickle Tim.
Greetings and salutations. My goodness, I don't need to Q-tip my ears out. I think you took care of that with that intro.
You know, when you were doing your Rush air drumming bit before we started here, that's payback right there.
Dun, 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 dun. There it is.
And we lost all of our listeners.
Are you in need of an Excedrin or an Advil or something?
I'm in need of an enema.
Good Lord.
They have
How
bourbon
are you,
suppositories. I'm pretty good, sir. How about you?
I'm having my my sugar bomb for the night.
Oh my gosh, how do you even sleep? Like, there's no caffeine in that, but there's enough sugar to like just shatter your teeth for the next 2 days.
Well, I mean, there's less than there would be if I actually got this from Starbucks. This is a homemade.
Even so, the
Chai
ghost of
tea
Wilford
latte.
Brimley is staring at you from the corner of your bedroom, going, "Diabetes."
He's saying I should have had that. Maybe I would have looked younger.
Leaded gas and unfiltered cigarettes do a number, ladies and gentlemen.
Indeed.
Age ain't what it used to be.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't.
All right, sir. Well, this is your show. This is our geekery news take type thing.
Thingy. Kind
Where
of.
are we going
And
here?
by
What
the
are we
way,
doing?
it's
What are
for
we doing?
the people.
I know. I got lazy, okay? I
You
mean,
did.
you AI half of this damn show anyways, so you pretend that I'm the only person sloughing off here.
Well, got to start employing some of the AI to take a little bit off your plate,
I don't want it taken off my plate. I enjoy doing the things I do. I don't want to outsource the
I
enjoyable
thought you
things
wanted
I
to
do.
delegate a
I
little
want
more to
AI to
Patrick.
do my laundry.
Okay.
That's what I want AI to do. I want AI to take over the stoplights and make sure the traffic is flowing on a minute by minute basis, so that it isn't like, oh, there's one person sitting at a stoplight. Let's have all the traffic on the major north-south road stop for like a minute and a half as we're letting out another mythical 20 friggin' cars. No, I want AI to run those lights and be like, all right, here's enough time for that one car to get through. Now everyone get going.
Yep.
That's what I want AI to do. I don't want AI to take away fun stuff that I might enjoy doing.
All right.
So there.
You okay there?
I'm not. No, I'm not. But still.
All right. Actually, I'm going to flip things around real quick. First thing we're going to get into is actually...
Oh, the friggin' scooter.
which, by the way, I have a bone to pick with you, sir. This afternoon...
About what?
On Facebook, no less, I see a coy picture of you with a Lego box in your
That
eyes.
is totally different. That is
It
something I
is
do in the
not
privacy
totally
of my own
different.
house.
And you're
Not out
talking...
there riding around on a scooter. You're a grown-ass man with a real job, okay? I don't have a real job. I have a self-created job that I can barely do now. And here you go, out on a scooter, zipping around Chicago. Baseball in the spoke. You might as well have a beanie on your head.
So, all right, I want to read this for everyone. He puts on there...
Whatever. Oh my gosh, how far away do you have to hold that phone, first of all? My God, put on your glasses, man. Ain't no shame in that. You're yeeting your phone across the room to try and read it from 10 feet away.
Man, we're off to an auspicious start, aren't we?
My God, there's no shame in getting old, sir. There we go. Look at that. Put your cheaters on. It's okay.
I can't now. They're all fogging up because I'm laughing so hard.
Well, that's your own damn fault. That
So
you got big pores.
Here he writes, God, I still can't read it. Hold on.
Oh my gosh, time to go really get checked.
All right, there we go. Am I 49 years old? Yes. Did I just buy myself a Lego set? Yes. Do I feel bad about it? No, I do not. And I so wanted to write in the comments how this differs exactly. How it differs exactly, that is acceptable. But for me to be using an electric scooter to go from point A to point B is considered in the pale.
Let me describe this to you. It's like nose picking, all right? Everybody does it.
Oh my God.
Everybody does it. I don't care. These people are like, oh, I never pick my nose. The hell you don't. Everybody picks their nose. Not everyone does it in public, though. Those of us with the good sense do it at home, and you get them nose goblins. You got to go after. You wait till you get home, and you really dig in, and then you fling them. Not you. You're out there picking away in public on your friggin' scooter.
So
disgusting, dirty habit is what I'm saying.
You're saying it would be more acceptable for me to buy a scooter for a few $100s to ride it around in my basement within the confines of my home.
If that's what you want to do, yes.
To use it as a transportation device.
Exactly. I'm beseeching you to have some dignity, sir.
I think
you are dragging this podcast, which is already a low bar. You're dragging us further down.
Is weak, and
I'm suspect.
A little suspect.
I'm not the one on a scooter.
No, you're not. I am the one on the scooter. And by the way, my milestone I hit is I am at about 475 miles. That's right, 4 3/4 hundo. Basically, I'm 25 miles shy of having ridden this scooter in aggregate from here halfway toward New Hampshire, my friend.
Yeah,
so
he gets another 25 miles and he gets a cookie.
Maybe. Although it is begging the question now, when do I need to replace things like my brakes or some of the wheels?
Oh my gosh, you're hauling ass across some bridge in Chicago and realize your brakes go out.
Oh my gosh,
that's going to be a fantastic next show with you in a neck brace. Friggin' traction.
So I just want to say, you as the 49-year-old with a Lego set, me as a 50-year-old with my scooter, I'm just saying, boys will be boys.
No, this is totally different, sir. Totally different. I'm not embarrassing. I'm not flaunting my immaturity.
You flaunted it on social media, for Christ's sake.
That's totally different. Those are people who vaguely kind of want to know these things, not some poor schlub just looking at. Would you look at that guy? Would you look at that? Would you look at that schmuck on the scooter?
It was like a slap in the face. I'm like, look at him flaunting this level of Lego, and yet I am the one who is the pariah of the two of us.
I hope he gets a shimmy on lower whacker, jackknifes across the lanes. That's what they're thinking about you, sir. I just don't want that for you. I'm looking out for you is what I'm doing.
I am riding in a pod, in a troop of other scooter riders.
A pod?
Yes.
When you have a little motorcycle gang going on? A little scooter gang?
We do.
Ring, ring, ring. Do you have patches and everything?
Yes, we do. We have a president, a vice president, sergeant at arms. The whole 9 yards. So
instead of Sons of Anarchy, it's Sons of Assholes. Sorry, I try to keep it family, but
Lord. Well, we made it to minute 8. We had the first cussing of the show.
I can't take it anymore. All right, what are we really starting here with? Because we can't be starting with that.
Well,
there's got to be something we're going to dig into.
If you're thinking the next thing is going to help with the stressometer, I don't think it's going to, because we're going into Tales from the Fantasy Gridiron, week 6. Also,
all right, let's go through this.
Also known as the 2025 Idiot Bowl 1. That's right. It is yours truly, the best in the world, taking on Uncle Todd, the Doomed. I am at 0-5. He is at 1-4. Sir, would you like to run through your lineup first? Oh, thank you for that. Good Lord.
My lineup sucks. So originally we were going to start out, and I had a tidy little win projected here, and now you're projected to win because And you were asking me the other day, you were like, how do you think this thing is going to shake out? I'm like, I think somehow we're both going to lose. It's not going to be a tie. Like, somehow we will both lose this game. It'll be the first time in fantasy football history there's 2 losers in one game. Right now I'm sitting at 151. You've got 158. All of my eggs are in the Deebo Samuel basket for tomorrow, which is not good because you've got a wide receiver yourself going, plus your defense. So, yeah, I'm basically, as the English would say, buggered. Yeah, Drake May did all right. Did pretty good with 53 points. Marvin Harrison Jr., as usual, just kicking me right in the joy department. He got me whole 5 points. Rashid Shaheed, 6 points. Saquon Barkley, oh my gosh. Saquon Barkley, just 19 points. Kieran Williams, 29 points, which I mean, hey, who's this dude right here? He's a one. Tyler Warren got me 18 points from the tight end spot, which is nice. Cardi, my kicker, got me a 5, which is whatever. And then Green Bay outperformed. They got me 16 points on defense. And there was no help on the bench except for one wide receiver who I could have dropped in. Other than that, everyone sucks or is out. So, yeah, that's the tale of my team. Once again, going right down the pooper is where we're at. How are you doing?
Ladies and gentlemen, I am party 2. I am witness to the resurrection of Joe Flacco, ladies and gentlemen. Which we're on, what, like the 3rd, 4th resurrection?
I believe it is the 4th. Is this the 4th coming or is it the 5th going of Joe Flacco?
I'll go with the 4th coming. So.
Yes, yeah.
But yeah, midweek trade, I believe, between Cleveland and Cincinnati, which is very strange because it's within the division, which you don't normally see a lot.
So. And wasn't there a rumor that Flacco might just retire and play for Cincy?
I don't know if I read that, but
I thought I heard that, like the briefest whiff of a rumor where they're like, he just might quit because Cincinnati's line sucks. And Joe has always been a statue.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine it's changing at his age.
Well, he came in and has taken over as the starter, and he put up, originally projected to put up 36 fantasy points. He put up 47, so he was about 6 shy of Drake May. So Uncle Todd has me on the quarterback category there. Devontae Adams putting up a paltry 7 points. He's been in double digits the last few weeks, but not
better than Marvin Harrison Jr.
But, yep, in that matchup, I believe I took that one. Khalil Shakir is playing tomorrow night when Buffalo plays in Atlanta. So we'll find out there. And, of course, as I said, Uncle Todd, it is highly it's not ironic. It is just within – it's on brand that Drake May would have a 3-pass touchdown sort of day, 261 passing yards, and Stephon Diggs, who had been trending upward, he had a couple weeks of double-digit production in the fantasy world. Once again, back to 5 points. So thank you very much for that. Thank you, Drake, and thank you, Stephon, for doing nothing. So when compared to who is this? Rashid Shaheed.
So I love how you're actually comparing one for one here because you have the upper hand. All right,
I do. And ladies and gentlemen, one other resurrection. Apparently, Derrick Henry is back amongst us again. He put up 37 fantasy points.
The reports of his demise have been greatly exaggerated, mostly by
for this week at least. And then my other running back from Pittsburgh, Jalen Warren, he put up 19, so that kind of offset Saquon's. Basically, he and Saquon are a push, but when we compare Derek with your other running back, I take it. And then, my goodness, this was not expected.
I don't get this one.
The man, the myth, the legend, Dallas Go Dirt, put up basically 26. He is a tight end, ladies and gentlemen. 26 fantasy points, 9 receptions, 110 yards, 1 receiving touchdown. Holy moly.
And then the real MVP of your team.
Goes without saying. Ladies and gentlemen, Cameron Dicker the kicker, baby. Woo! 17 fantasy points for my man.
Way too much joy in that.
It is just, it brings joy that the man does well.
Warms the cockles of my heart. So we'll both be 1-4, 1-5 at the end of this week.
Basically, we will be tied. The idiots will be tied in our league for last place.
This is why I just can't stand fantasy football anymore. And here's the thing. I feel like and you tell me, maybe I'm completely off base here. I think 10-team leagues should be outlawed. It should either be 8 or 12, because 10 is a terrible number for this, and we're finding this out now. It was okay with 9 when we had the garbage team.
Mm-hmm.
There was still a chance of finding some guys there.
Yeah.
At 10, everybody, and at 12, here's the deal: like, not everybody can get a great starting lineup, because there's always going to be, and then everybody's digging around in the sandbox for like whatever's left over. So there's always somebody mixing and matching and this and that and the other. At 10, it feels like there is just enough talent for everybody to have like a decent team.
Yeah.
But then there is absolutely no depth. Like, after that, it is like that is the end of the tier, and then after this, no one that you get is going to be any good unless you happen to snap up somebody who, in that first 2 weeks, kind of, or you get lucky with that one guy who kind of comes out of nowhere and then is the sleeper of the year.
Right.
Because it's like we're just at this point now where like there's no help. There is no help. I've got my starting 2 running backs. Do you know who I have for my backup running back right now? Kareem Hunt. That's who's going to fill in for me when Saquon and Kyron both, when they're on their bye weeks, that's who's filling in.
Yeah.
Just mark me down for another L. I have one receiver who goes out, and then I'm digging around in the parts bin for whoever. It's like with 8, there's enough where there's always kind of some guys who are still at the bottom tier where you can plug them in and can be competitive. But this just puts you in a spot of like,
You got to get scrappy.
Well, it's not getting scrappy, dude. How am I going to get scrappy? I've got scraps to work with.
For example, in our pre-production meeting, I mentioned how one of my friends who's in this league he and I were talking last night, and he was sharing with me that he is taking kind of a very what I would call not a traditional sort of strategy. What would you say it is? A little unorthodox. Mm-hmm. Where every week he's just kind of looking at matchups and he's picking a different team. Depending on the matchup, he might stay with the team that he has, but he's picking a different defense because the defenses are actually cranking quite a bit of points out. Now, not that that's going to be the be-all, end-all of your team.
Yeah.
But if you land a good matchup where you can get a defense that's putting up like 30 points because they're
well, that just doesn't happen that often. Like, here's the thing. Like, that's great for him. He's got a stacked team, and he hit on his guys, and he didn't have any injuries or anyone. He didn't have that many guys who were disappointing. You know what I mean? If you have anyone who's at all a disappointment or not who you thought they were, well, you're hosed. And we're just over a quarter of the way through this season, and I'm like, yeah, like you said last week, like you're just at a point where it's like the season is over. In a way, like unless you sneak into the playoffs and like you did last year, like you get hot at the very end, it's kind of over.
Well, and that's another strategy that he mentioned to me, which I think is very smart, which is when we get to the end part of the season, he tends to focus on the teams that are fighting for playoff spots, because that's when you know the players are going to be playing, and you're not going to be screwed by the teams that have their playoff berth set, and they start to sit people, which ends up screwing teams as well.
Yes, but at the same time, like, how are you can you still get those guys? Most of them, like with the way that we're structured this year, I don't think you're going to be able to do it. Like with 9 teams, there was a possibility. 10 teams all out there searching, and because we're also in a league where everyone's fairly active. Like there's no one who has checked out at this point. Like obviously, like they left like 3 roster spaces open or people on buys or anything. Everyone's pretty active.
Yeah.
So trying to do that that's why I say, like, with 12 teams, everybody's kind of doing that. 8 teams, you don't necessarily have to do that, and there's always a little bit of talent there. 10 teams seems like that's the area where it's like, and there's nothing. Unless you guess correctly that week and you get the one guy. But then, I've got guys on my team who had great weeks, and now it's like, 1 point for like the last 3 weeks. Like,
Yeah.
it's crazy. So, anyways,
So
I
I
hate
will-
fantasy football. This is my final year. This is my swan song.
No.
I'm done.
Come
I'm
on.
done. I'm done.
Come on. Stay with me. Stay with me, bro. Come on. I will say this, though.
Next topic.
I do declare that as of right now, I will either have 0 keepers, or if one of these players proves me wrong, I may hold on to one of them. But I am going to go with an all-out, just, house cleaning going into next season.
The fantasy football enema.
Basically, because I will then be able to better position myself for the top stars, because most of the, a lot of the teams, not every team, but most of the teams are going to be out of the first round because they're going to be holding on to those foundational people. Like Derrick Henry, as great as he did this week, I'm not convinced it's going to sustain throughout this season.
He is on the downward.
He's on the downward, so my foundation is basically falling apart. I don't have a solid QB. I mean, Flacco's there, but when they face a team
If you kept Flacco, I would seriously.
would you play another season? I'll keep him on that alone.
Well, the fact is, he'd be like, what, a last round pick for you?
No, kind of.
I mean, but if you kept Flacco at that point, like that's like an intervention sort of thing. Like I really think Tim has a problem somewhere along the way. Like that's calling up your wife and being like, "Is everything all right?"
That goes back to the team.
Is Tim
in
back
our
to
league,
sniffing glue again?
services team, where back in the day he was always trying to draft Terrell Owens or Chad Johnson, and it became a running joke, especially when Terrell Owens was clearly on the downside of his career. He just kept drafting him because he's like, "Oh no, we got to keep him."
Yeah. Oof.
Well, sir, I wish you
Moving
the
along.
best. I wish you the best. I have.
No,
let's
you
see.
don't.
You have 1 player left, Debo, and I have
Don't
2
wish you the
players, and I wish you the best.
You're
Debo
essentially
won.
wishing that Debo develops an ingrown hair on his right butt cheek to go along with whatever other injuries he has going. A heel, I believe, is his Achilles heel.
Yes. Moving right along, though, last Monday, the man they called Tim was pleasantly surprised, caught off guard, thrown off, if you will, by the sudden and unexpected announcement by Geddy Lee
Bamboozled.
and Alex Lifeson that they have decided, they posted, it was the strangest thing. I happened to pop over to YouTube, and there was a clip that was up there from the two of them that was just, I mean, the timing of it was not too long after they posted it. And so I'm just listening to it like, okay, what is this? And they end up announcing that they have decided to go on tour next year. And so very excited about this. They are playing dates in Los Angeles, Fort Worth, Texas, right here in good old sweet home Chicago, New York, Toronto, and Cleveland. They are going to be celebrating 50 plus years of their music, their legacy, and honoring their late bandmate Neil Peart. One thing that was kind of interesting they talked about was they may have, for some songs, someone playing keyboard. I think Geddy is going to start ceding a little bit of control there. He did say a couple songs like he is going to have to continue to play because it's just part of the feel and the rhythm of the song. But he said for others, they're looking to open things up a little bit and not have it just be the 3-piece, because I think this is more about a tribute to the work that they did with Neil Peart, and they were very adamant about there is going to be a part of the show that's going to be about honoring him and his legacy, which I'm very excited about. The really cool part that they also announced, and I was hoping they had this in the...
They're going to have a robot Neil Peart?
No, not quite. Let me...
What are we doing in this world? We got all these robot dogs.
I know.
Stuff like that. We don't have a robot Neil Peart yet. Come on.
But they did announce, and I know you're not a huge Rush fan, but I do want to get your thoughts on this, because I think for some fans, this was I haven't gone deep into Reddit or the Facebook comments or whatever, but I got the sense there was some negative response to this a little bit. I thought this was brilliant. I thought this was on brand for them, and I very much appreciate that the boys did this. But they announced that taking the seat behind the Skins will be German drummer, composer, and producer Annika Niles, who has performed as Jeff Beck's drummer for over 60 shows and has released 4 solo albums. I have listened to two of the songs that she has postings on YouTube, and when I was listening to one of them, it was when I was getting ready for bed, and my wife heard it, and she's like, "Who? Like, what are you listening to?" And I said, "This is the gal who's going to be drumming with Rush." And I'm like, and she's like, "Oh, she sounds really good." And I'm like, and what was scary to me is like, it's not that she drums exactly like Neil, but there is similarities in terms of rhythmic patterns that she's playing where I'm like, okay, I can see how she can handle this stuff. You know what I mean? Like she's got the chops. Like she's playing some pretty intricate, like, you know, rhythmic beats going and everything. And so I'm just like, okay, this is going to be interesting. But I love the fact that they didn't pull someone who is a famous drummer from some other rock band to fill in. You know, I'm glad it wasn't a situation where they
John Freeze, from formerly of the Foo Fighters, is available, I believe.
Yes, he is. And I'm trying to remember, lead singer for the Foo Fighters.
Dave Grohl.
Thank you, Dave Grohl.
No, he couldn't pull that off. I'm pretty sure even Dave Grohl would say that.
No, but for them to like the fact they didn't do something like that, where they brought someone with that sort of name into the role, I thought was very on brand for them, because that band has always been about, you know, they of course were always trying to strive to be a band that had a large reach to a great number of fans, but they always did it in a homegrown, you know, kind of their way. And their journey to popularity and to mainstream acceptance was not an easy one. It was not one that came naturally or through a lot of machinations by, you know, their representation. It was, they literally were one of those few bands that had just such a groundswell of fan support that over time they could not be ignored. And so the fact that they brought in Annika Niles to play for Neil, I think is going to be really exciting. And I think it's great, just also from the perspective of, it's nice to see a woman in that role. You know, you don't see a lot of female drummers, female drummers. I know Lenny Kravitz, popular, you know, back in his heyday, had a female drummer, and I just remember watching her in live performances, and she looked like she was beating the tar out of those drums.
She's outstanding. And she went on to be she's drummed with Santana. She's actually playing down in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. She's there every year. Cindy Blackmon Santana, I think is her name. But yeah, no, she's fan-friggin-tastic.
Does she still has the fro going? Because that was half the fun of watching her play, was watching that hair kind of bounce as she was going.
No, I don't know. I don't think so. It might be a little bit smaller.
But your thoughts are on the announcement and them coming back.
I ain't got a dog in the fight, dude. You know, I'm not the hugest Rush fan, although I'm a music fan. So it's intriguing to me on a historical level, because we are hitting the time where some of these bands that have been around for a while are at that point where members are not with us anymore. And, you know, one of my favorite bands of all time, ZZ Top, went through this when, you know, Dusty Hill passed away, and they brought in, what's his name? Gosh, Elwood. No, something Elwood. I forget his name. But he's basically been their bass and guitar tech for ever. Yeah. So it was like he knows the songs, he knows the show, like he knows the whole thing. And they, you know, so it kind of makes sense with this. However, I'm very curious. I will be very curious, even as a non-Rush fan, just to hear the story of how they made a connection with the new drummer, what the process was like, and how this whole thing came about. Because to me, that's the interesting thing. Yeah. Because
they talked about how it was through Geddy's guitar tech. So his guitar tech, his bass guitar tech, was on tour with Jeff Beck. His guitar tech said, "Hey, if you guys are thinking about doing this, you need to check her out." And so they actually connected up and they jammed together. And what he and Alex say in this video, and again, it's a video they filmed, so, you know, it's produced and whatnot. Yeah. But what they say is they just felt a spark playing with her that they hadn't felt in a long time. and that kind of cemented it for them. So I think it was a reference from someone they knew, got connected with her, played, got a feel like, okay, this gives us energy for wanting, like, we think this is going to sound great if we do this sort of thing, and not just be a gimmick that they do. And so that anyway. So to your point.
Well, but no, I was just part of it for me is like these guys don't need to do it. They're obviously doing it because they want to.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of that comes down to like how you interact with that person, not just musically. Like, do you actually like being around them?
Yeah.
For something like this, because you could bring in a hired gun, and it very well could be that this could be looked at as a hired gun situation. Like, she's well qualified.
Yeah.
She's got a great resume, could totally play that role. Is it more than that, where it's like, no, we actually think not only can you play the songs, because there's a ton of drummers out there, guys, gals, whatever, who could play the songs.
Yep. Because
Rush isn't a jam band. Like, they're not going to go off script.
Right.
And decide, like, all of a sudden, oh, did you see that? They played a 25-minute version of YYZ last night. That the song is the song. And you get a qualified enough drummer, they'll pull that off, no sweat. It's a matter of like when you talk about that spark. I think a lot of that, at least for me as a musician, comes down to like someone's musical instincts and kind of that anticipation and being kind of on the same wavelength as other people when you're in a rehearsal room playing, like, or on stage playing, like, that's the stuff that's kind of exciting. Because you realize, like, oh, okay, wait a minute. So okay, yeah, this is interesting. Because they're locked in on what I'm doing, not just in a sense of like the notes on the page, but the thinking behind why the notes are there. You know what I mean? So from that perspective, and I obviously didn't watch the video because I missed out on that. But it's interesting just in and of itself that a band like this would be like, all right, we're going to throw a new member in here, and kudos to them again, because it does kind of eliminate. It does come out of left field. Yeah, bringing a woman into a band that has not traditionally had a woman in the band. And
I mean, that's always been the running joke, is because Rush has been like, mostly a male attended sort of band. So it was always a joke with them. It was like, oh, I think I saw 3 females and so now for them to bring, now there'll be at least 1 female because she'll be drumming. So
so, that's been a lot of the memes I've seen online. So, but kudos to them. Like, they want to do it, go ahead. Go for it. You're playing with house money. I'm
kind of curious too, if along with, because the way they kind of explain it is bringing the keyboardist in, Geddy wants to kind of function in a way that he hasn't functioned typically, because he's always behind the keyboards and then playing the bass and singing. So I am kind of curious if we are going to find out, will they bring some other vocalists in? Because I do know, like, I didn't go see the R40 tour, but I knew I had some friends who did go see it, and there were some songs that Geddy, even though they've lowered the register a little bit, or lowered the key of some of those songs, like, he's still struggling a little bit, but he's also in his 70s too, and it's like I don't expect him to be able to belt out some of those songs. So I think it would be kind of cool if they brought in some vocalists, and let him focus on just playing bass and let someone else sing, and just let it be something different.
I mean, maybe, but at the same time, it is one of those deals where it's like 80% of Geddy Lee is still better than most people's 100%.
Yeah.
Whether or not you enjoy his vocal stylings, like I can't say I've ever been like, oh my gosh, I love to hear Geddy Lee sing. I could listen to it all day long. Maybe not, but at the same time, holy hell, that dude's got a voice. And to be able to perform and play those parts while you're singing like that, it's enough to. Part of the reason I don't listen to Rush that much is because it just makes me want to quit music altogether. Because I'm like, I can't do that. It's so demotivating. Like, dear God, who could do those things? You know?
I know.
But I don't know about the vocalist thing, because to me, like, bring in a keyboard player, or bring in a bass player. So if on the songs where Geddy really wants to play keys and he wants to focus more on maybe not playing the bass part. Because he didn't do like bass pedals while he's playing keys and stuff. Like, like if he just wants to focus on that and vocals, great. I think the weird thing would be if you had someone else singing. That to me would be the thing where it's like, because his voice is such a distinctive part of the overall sound. Although, I mean, at the same time, could be kind of fun if you know, like at different shows, like, hey, and here's someone like a song that he's like, I am so effing sick of singing Tom Sawyer. Almost like some of the bands who are like, they have that big hit and they're like, oh, we got to, like Blues Traveler, like, we got to freaking play Run Around again. Like, I love the song, but dear God, I'm kind of sick of doing it every single night. Hey, here's so-and-so to sing.
But like Tom Sawyer is one that I think he can still sing pretty well. I think if you go too far back in time to like their early stuff where he was doing kind of the Robert Plant sort of Zeppelin-esque, kind of wailing and stuff like that.
I was just using it as an example. Like if there's because that's an easy one. Like here's a song that we have to play.
Right.
But yet it's a song that I don't necessarily want to sing anymore.
Right.
Like that would be a great one for guest vocalists.
I think if they did one-offs with a vocalist, like not every song is with someone different, but just if they did here or there someone to just, take that load off of him, I think that would be cool. So,
well, as gimmicky as Rush has been in terms of like, kind of their stage setup with the washing machines and whatnot and the vending machines and such, it would be kind of nice to have like a big wheel and then like they have a box of like 4 different singers.
Yep.
And they just have a wheel like, who's going to sing tonight? And then the rest have, like, one person gets to come out of like the box and the rest just have to kind of stand there for the whole show. Like,
basically.
Anyway.
You know what they should do is have Jack Black be one of them. That would be hysterical.
And the dude would rock it because Jack Black can actually
not only sing,
he can sing well, but
if
when
he's
he does
the guys that has to
well.
stand there for the concert looking around, he will make it entertaining. So.
Yeah, although you might get an indecency charge because Jack Black for like an hour and a half left to his own devices.
Yeah.
It's kind of scary.
All right, well, let's move along. Good to see Getty and Alex back in action next year. Crossing my fingers I can get some tickets. We'll see. I'm bracing for impact when I see what the ticket prices are, but we will see.
Sorry, son, that last college semester is all on you.
That's right. Salute. All right. Moving along.
Daddy's going to see Rush.
That is right. Moving along from Rush to Star Wars, because, nothing is quite like, Russian music than Star Wars.
There's a lot of... I would say there's a definite Venn diagram overlap somewhere for this, really.
From our friends at the holofiles.com.
I'm sorry, the what files?
The holofiles.
Oh, okay.
What do you think I said?
Well, I didn't know if it was welcome to the Ho files or if it was the Hodo files and we were going to talk about the Hodo maneuver. I was a little confused.
Confused as a baby raccoon.
I was like a rainbow trout in a car wash.
Oh my gosh. So basically this crazy Ahsoka season 2 theory could be the wildest swing Star Wars ever takes. Basically, as we've talked about in the past, there have been a lot of rumors around Ahsoka season 2, bringing into the live action the idea of the 3 Mortis gods, which were introduced in Clone Wars. There was the father who represented balance, there was the son who was the dark side, and then there was the daughter who was the light side. One character who was never...
Because the Holy Ghost would have been just a step too far.
Well, there you have it. But there is also a 4th figure in the lore of the Mortis gods that we had never seen, and that is the figure of Abeloth, who is also known as the Mother. And so the idea here being that there is a theory that what Baylan Skoll is searching for, the last we see him at the end of season 1, he's kind of standing on a very, what I would say, Lord of the Rings-esque sort of statue of, I think it was the father, kind of looking out into the land and still pursuing something. We're not quite sure what. And so the theory is that he is trying to seek out Abeloth, who, if the father, son, and daughter represented these parts of the Force, what is the mother basically? And basically for her, it's what I read about her is mostly that she's chaos in a way. So it's not like I don't fully understand how that, maybe to offset the father being balanced, she's chaos, and then you have the light and the dark side. So now you have kind of the four parts of light, darkness, balance, and chaos, or something to that
We've
effect.
got all of our axes on the
basically.
Yeah.
But what the theory here is that so Skoll is looking for her. Some theories suggest that what we end up finding out in season 2, and this is kind of interesting, is that his apprentice Shin Hati is secretly Abeloth, which would be kind of interesting.
Wait, she's the mother?
Basically. Now, because in theory, if you think about Clone Wars and what happened with now, I haven't seen all of Clone Wars, but my understanding is Ahsoka at one point is believed to be dead, but then is not dead, and there is an element of her presence where, is there an owl or some bird that seems to follow her that was reminiscent of the daughter, and so it was almost like, is she now imbued with the daughter?
I want to say that the owl was in Rebels, because I didn't watch all of
or
the Clone
is it Rebels
Wars,
that I'm
but
thinking of?
Okay, I watched all of Rebels. It
So
could
there
have
is-
been in Clone Wars too.
So there is this idea that she is now kind of like the daughter, and Anakin in his presence is he stepping into now that father role, being the balance, that he is essentially the balance to the Force, and so he is now stepping into that role. So when you factor all that together, Shin Hati being Abeloth is one theory. The even wilder theory, and this is kind of interesting, is if they bring Natalie Portman in to play Abeloth in season 2. So you have Anakin, who could be the father, and then you have Natalie Portman, who could be Abeloth, the mother. What do you think? Uncle Todd is befuddled and bemused.
I don't know if I've
like-
had too much to drink or not enough
wait a
to
minute.
drink. I don't know what the hell's going on.
You know what? The face he's making is very similar to when we're trying to add up the real and jabroni scores. Carry the 5. Divide by 10. What?
So
the
wait a
heck
minute.
is
So
going-
okay, so we've got Anakin maybe being daddy.
yes.
Shin Hati might be mom.
Well,
Ahsoka's-
she's
Ahsoka's
one
the-
theory.
Okay,
One
but-
theory is she could be.
Okay, so Shin Hati / Padme is mom.
Well, Shin Hati being Abeloth is one.
Okay.
Padme being the mother is
Yeah.
another.
Okay, so yeah, both of them mom, right? Because that's who Abeloth is. So okay, so why are you freaking correcting me? I'm already confused enough.
Well, because you make it sound like both of them together are the mom.
either or. That's what slash means.
Okay, take it easy.
And then we got
Jesus.
Ahsoka as the daughter.
Yes,
So who's the son? Ezra, I'm guessing.
maybe, could be. Is it Luke?
Well, that doesn't make
Luke's
any
around.
sense because if one's the light side, one's the dark side.
Oh, the dark side. Yeah, that's true. If the sun's the dark side, who would the sun be? I don't know.
Anyway, maybe. Fracked if I know.
But the idea being is that Ghost Anakin,
Yeah.
seems to have some sort of power or presence even in this realm that he exists in. And so if Abeloth is, basically like Ghost Padme, is there, some interaction there that happens where, she's kind of, you like up to this point, these ghost characters, they have an impact on the characters in the real world in terms of, helping them realize more about themselves, maybe giving them some direction or something like that. But they've, in a lot of ways, haven't really had an impact on the galaxy as a whole, other than just, these sort of individual touch points. So I'm kind of wondering, do we start to see them behave in a, similar way as to like live action characters?
I mean, on one hand, there is very much a part of me that wants to just say, like, this is one of those absolutely crackers friggin' fan theories that, like, it's really cute that you've watched every single moment of every Star Wars property that has ever happened, and then read every message board and every website and every fanzine and every fan fiction and every Star Wars legacy property and all that, and that you have then cobbled together this very intricate, almost conspiracy theory-esque, like complete with red string and points and stuff like that, theory of like, oh, this is how it's going to all unfold. And for me to go like, yeah, that's great. It's just a little too cute. It's too much. Like, and how are you going to explain all of this in whatever number of episodes? And what does it actually have to do with anything? Like, how does this further the story along? Because if Ahsoka is going to bridge us into like, the heir to the Empire and all that stuff, like, okay, then how does this get us to this point? I don't see a ready-made, like, because to me it's like, okay, if you're going to have this thing, whoever's daddy, whoever's mommy, whoever's sis, and whoever's bro, okay, is it the tension between all four of them, or do you have a fifth point in here in the middle who is being yanked around like a Punch and Judy doll to hither and yon in like this war for their soul? You know what I mean? Like, so one or the other. So if Ahsoka is obvious, if you place Ahsoka at one side, then is she really kind of the titular character here, or is she the one in the middle and it's her? Again, like there is so many questions in here. My first instinct is like, that's a whole lot to explain as you're also building for this other thing. On the other hand, Dave Filoni,
will I have a moment to rebut here at some point?
Yes.
Okay.
On the other hand, Dave Filoni goes so deep into this stuff, I don't put it past him. This is the one time I will say, like, it very well could be, because this dude is up to his left and right nostril in Star Wars lore.
There we go with the nose-picking paradigm again from the beginning of the show.
I like to full circle.
I love it.
So it could very well be, and he might have a plan because he's had decades to think this stuff over, of how this is all going to tie together. So it could be. My big question is, that's all nice. Like, maybe you get Natalie Portman, maybe you don't. Whoever, to me, is like, okay, is this actually going to be the story of Ahsoka? Because I mean, her fracking name's on the show. So is she one of the places here, and it's the struggle between like all of that, or is she the one in the middle because she did leave the Jedi Order? She is kind of like this loose cannon Ronin figure who is obviously Force capable and Force sensitive and a Force user, but really doesn't describe herself as a Jedi. So is this a war for her kind of soul in all of this? And are we going to see, temptation to the dark side at this point? Or, I mean, I don't know. That's far more interesting to me than these figures, because they were kind of a nice touch in the Rebels series, but I'm like, eh. So, yes, thoughts. So, God, I've talked myself around in a circle.
If we are marching toward, and they are not trying to reboot, the post-Queel timeline, the
please don't,
the post-Queel trilogy. The first of that installment is called The Force Awakens, and what I'm wondering is, in his pursuit, in Baylan Skoll's pursuit for, because his motivation is he wants to break this cycle. He sees a cycle happening between the Empire and with the Republic, and it's a constant back and forth where one starts to rise in power and then they get knocked down, and the other starts to rise in power and then they get knocked down, and he wants to dispense with all of it. So what better character to go after than the character of Chaos to break the cycle of that, right? Because Chaos is in fact that. There is no rhythm, there is no balance, there is no cycle to it. It is random, it is whatever it is, right?
It is the Joker, yes.
Right. So I could see that being part of his pursuit. However, in that pursuit, I wonder if what ends up happening on, and I'm already forgetting the name of the planet they're on because they're in that other galaxy, but I am wondering if part of what Ahsoka's role is in season 2 is essentially with Anakin, if she is, like I said, if she's the daughter, if she is now the daughter and he is now like the father, that together they end up basically destroying or putting an end to, this Mortis God sort of cycle to things, so that we start to bring about this sort of quiet that happens with the Force. Because at some point, at least from what we understand from episode 7 and 8, the Force kind of goes quiet. When Luke goes into hiding, there's kind of like this 30 years of nothing that goes on. And I'm wondering if part of that 30 years of nothing comes from whatever it is Ahsoka is about to go do. Now, I don't know how that comes to play, but it feels like there are some high-level pieces that might make sense to bring that about. But I'm also trying to tie some things together that I don't know are they truly going to go after. So but that's my thinking, because when you bring it into Heir to the Empire, like I feel like what we need to have in terms of that conflict is not to take the Force out of it, but to have but in some ways, like what I could see them doing is, even though Skoll probably at the end doesn't achieve his ends the way that he wants to, his end is still achieved because, like I said, there's that 30-year period of quiet. Maybe that 30-year period of quiet is the broken cycle. You know, like in some ways, Skoll does end up achieving his ends, just not in the way that he envisioned it. And that will also play out with, Thrawn ultimately will end up being defeated, and the Empire will have to then go rebuild itself. So that's where I feel like they could now I'm speaking from a position of, like I said, I haven't watched Clone Wars all 7 seasons. I don't have a deep knowledge of these Mortis gods and the exact role. I remember watching an episode with them with the kids when they were younger. And I think in that episode, I think the brother ends up getting killed or something like that. Like one of the gods ends up falling. Maybe it was the father who falls or something like that. But one of them falls, and part of it's because Anakin possesses something that allows him to interact with them or something to that effect. But I don't have a deep knowledge of them. So to your point, I don't know exactly how they plug in, but I feel like there's some threads that I could see being kind of woven together that ends up being a part of the larger tapestry of what happens down the line that I think could make some sense. And I could see Filoni trying to orient things in that direction to kind of explain, this is why when we get to episode 7, it's the Force has been kind of dormant in a way. But anyway,
I like it. Let's go with that.
Amen and amen. All right. That was easy. Jeez, I don't think I've ever convinced Knuckle Todd of something so simply and quickly. So, hey,
like you said, I'm befuddled.
Maybe we should stop while we're ahead. All right, next one here. We'll try to go through this one quick because I do want to get to these last 2 items. Dune 3 is officially making a major change to Frank Herbert's lore. This comes from our friends at CBR.com and really starts off with Rebecca Ferguson, who plays Lady Jessica, confirming that she will be in Dune Part 3, although she confirms that she does not have a big part in this one. And that part of that is because she is barely in the book that the movie is based off of, Dune Messiah, because it does take part, I believe, several decades after Dune 2, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know if it's several. It might be a decade.
I know it's after those events. Like he is the emperor, and we kind of see repercussions from his holy war on the galaxy, basically.
Yeah,
so.
Maybe it is several decades. I can't remember. I read Dune Messiah, I think, last year, and it is gone from my brain in terms of like details. Because when you first said like Lady Jessica's, I'm like, was she in that book?
Yep.
And thankfully, you filled in the blank for me, sir, as you always do.
I do try. But she does, talk about how the script is phenomenal. It seems like Denis Villeneuve is just someone who seems to just understand. Like he must be a student of these books, of what Frank Herbert has put forth, because he seems to be able to put together scripts that, as we've seen in parts 1 and 2, just possess a lot of depth and seem to be able to take what has been in the past a very unwieldy, lore and brings it under control, almost like brings it to heel in a way where he's able to tell a very direct story with it and stay within and also weave, I think, the important themes from those books into the movies. Whereas prior attempts, whether it's the 1980 movie or the miniseries, I don't know that they really achieved that. And so what she does kind of, and what this article kind of tips its cap to a little bit is that it seems like what Villeneuve is doing is not necessarily making part 3 solely off of Dune Messiah, But based on the casting, because I think there's a couple characters being cast, which is around the kids, Leto 2 and Gananima, I think is her name. I don't know if I'm saying it. Well, maybe that too. But basically combining Messiah with Children of Dune. Which
I thought I heard something about that. Like that they were kind of expanding out of that book.
Yeah, because I haven't read Dune Part 3. I mean, quite honestly, I haven't read Dune itself, but from what I've read,
you haven't, dude?
No, I haven't.
It's a hell of a read, dude. It ain't easy. It's not light reading, but it is one of those things where you're like, I now see how this has been so influential on, Star Wars, on basically any kind of science fiction that took place that was written and or shot after Dune was published. Yeah, it is sprawling, dude. Like think the movies are sprawling, the minutia in the book you can get into is holy crap.
Yeah.
I should probably try and carve out some time to reread it because I've only read it once, and I have a feeling even as I'm reading it, I'm like, I feel like I'm going to need to read this twice just to actually understand what the hell I'm reading.
Yep.
But yeah,
so
it's worth it.
It's and so what I've read about Messiah is that there is some kind of crazy stuff that happens in it that, when I read about it, I'm kind of like, man, I could see this really taking the audience out of it if they try to, faithfully adapt this. But like I said, like Villanueva must be a student of the series to kind of know like what he wants to pull into Part 3 and why. And so I'm really, I don't know. It helps me to feel optimistic about his approach to it because we're now starting to move out of the story that I'm familiar with because I only know really what is Dune 1 and 2. And that's all I've really ever known from the movies is that story. So I am kind of curious now that, like for me, because I hadn't read the books, like I didn't realize how the story, kind of ends up where it's not just about, because in the 1980s film, it's about, Leto basically becoming, the chosen one. And that's kind of where it ends. Like, I am the one. Part 2, he's the one, but now he's basically waging a holy war now on the rest of the known galaxy. And there's a lot of, in the books that follow, there's a lot of consequence that comes from that. And so I'm excited to see that we're going to start exploring that because it goes from just being a pure hero journey to now it's, you're the hero, but now you're the hero who's starting to make the heel turn, and what are the consequences of that? And so, and it's funny. My youngest asked if it would be out next year. I had thought it was not, but it is scheduled to hit theaters next December, 2026, December 18th.
Wow.
If we're all still around at that point. So,
yeah. We're all listed day to day on this earth.
Any other thoughts on that before we move on?
I think, and so I'm going to go with my own pronunciation because it's the way I heard Kevin Smith do it. So I'm going to go with it. Denis Villeneuve. It sounds fancier.
Sacre bleu.
But I think there is something to like this being around for decades and different people having talked about it and talked through it and tried to tackle it and all of that, and then having the benefit of like, okay, where did they screw this up? I think it also has to do with there are people who can look through vast swaths of information, whether it be, factual nonfiction or fictional, worlds and layers of all that, and can very clearly be like, okay, I see a story here. And it might not even be the exact same story that is told in that larger lore, but they're like, here is the story that I see. And it incorporates all these different things. And I might need to change some things to fill in the blanks because this is the way I see it unfolding in this medium. And it kind of feels like that's his thing, like he has a really good grasp of like, okay, what do I need to do to fulfill this story that I see based on this? And so it doesn't surprise me that there would be some sort of, mucking about with the third installment because, from what I remember, the third installment is not exactly, uplifting. And it does get kind of wacky in places.
Yeah.
But it also makes a lot of sense why it gets wacky because you are dealing with essentially a messianic figure who is now going to rule the universe.
Yep.
Which is a different thing than the emperor ruling, like through power. Now it's like this is a religious fervor to it as well, and what does that mean? So yeah, that's it. It makes sense that they're going to kind of tweak things, and I'll be very interested to see how that goes. Maybe I'll actually make a point to read both of those books again before getting to the theaters, because I do want to see this one in the theater. I miss seeing Dune 1 and 2 in the theater, and I definitely would like to see this one.
I mean, it was really well done, and just that theater experience. You definitely lose something just watching it at home unless you have like a real home theater system, because the way they do the sound has just been, and the music is really good, really good. So, all right. So look forward to Dune 3. Now, let's jump from sci-fi over to our, a favorite of ours, good old professional wrestling.
If you will.
This one comes from CageSideSeats.com by way of Wrestling Observer, that it has been decided that the Ring General Gunther will indeed be the final opponent for one John Cena. It goes on to say they could be announcing a tournament to determine his final opponent, with Gunther winning said tournament. Thoughts on this, sir? This would not be out of character for Gunther. He did take part in Goldberg's retirement match, which, quite honestly, was more than I was expecting to get out of Goldberg. So I got to tip my hat to that.
True, yeah.
But thoughts on it being Gunther and not? It seems like in our next episode, in our Free Range Idiocy Friday episode, we will be recapping Crown Jewel. It seems our desire to see a trilogy of Lesnar matches is not going to happen. So I think this is the direction we're going in. But as John pointed out at the event on his way back to the dressing room, he held up 4 fingers because he's got 4 more dates and it's done. And so what do you think about Gunther being his final opponent?
I mean, at this point, sure. I mean, that's my answer, because it feels like this has been mismanaged to a degree enough that I'm like, it's just going to be what it's going to be at this point. Like I'm kind of, I will say Crown Jewel did give me a little bit of a, oh, okay, there's a feel good moment.
Yeah.
I just don't have a lot of faith that the rest of this is going to turn out the way that I hope it would. I know there's a whole lot of segment of the interwebs out there pulling for Edge. Gosh golly.
I think at one point Triple H, it was during the post game, I think Triple H is like, we can't have him.
Because there's a lot of people like, oh, well, his contract runs out in October. And it's like, I don't know who knows the details or what, but it's like he's going off to apparently film Percy Jackson season 2.
Yes. Yeah.
He which, I mean, hey, if they could get him for one date, sure, whatever. I mean, great, whatever. That it would be good. But I mean, Gunther it's going to be a good match. Yeah, because Gunther is good. Yep. He's good. He's good in the ring. He gets good matches out of people. He can work with a bunch of styles. And as we saw from this past Saturday, Cena, given the right opponent, can have a really good match. So it'll be good. It's just going to be anticlimactic, because it's going to be one of those deals where there is, at this point, it wouldn't be a bad thing to see John win his last match. Of course, we know that's not the norm in professional wrestling. Most of the time you do the job and you put someone else over and you give back to the business, because that's what business is, and blah, 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 blah. But again, this has been such an oddball sort of finale that who friggin' knows at this point, If it's Gunther, fine. I'll enjoy it and it'll be all right.
Yeah. If
it isn't Gunther, we're going to get what we're going to get, Yeah. And it kind of sucks that we're getting it on the B-level PLE, Saturday night's main event. That to me really kind of sucks.
Oh, you know what else is going to cook your noodle?
But it's going to be what it's going to be. The only way that I think that this will work, and Paul, can I just speak to you for a moment? Just me and you. Forget all those thousands of people listening right now. if you're going to have Cena's last match on Saturday night's main event, you, Paul, and Nick Khan, I know you're back there too, munching on a protein bar or some crap like that. You best make this match commercial free. Because ain't none of this 2-3 commercial breaks in John Cena's last match going to work. Now, I mean, I'm already kind of enjoying the fact that because I'm surfing with the Sharks, Friday Night SmackDown, I get to watch, like, when they cut away to commercial, I get to watch, if it's during a match, I get to watch, like, the stuff that happens during commercial break. Like, it's kind of nice to actually see an entire match. You know, not that I'm complaining. I know you got to make money and commercials are what they are, but for this occasion, you better make sure this is commercial free. If you got to go the last hour commercial free and have it sponsored by friggin' Rick's Herpy Cream or whatever you got to do, whatever.
Where do you find this stuff?
Because dude, they're doing ads for dude wipes and anything. Like, it doesn't. They're whoring themselves out for anybody. So I mean, why not? You know, Herman's Herpy ointment. I mean, it could be a thing. I don't know. If you got Simplex 62, we got you covered.
So wrong.
Anyways, where was I going? But make it commercial free. That's the least you can do. Because I mean,
down a bad road.
If we're not going to be on an actual PLE, if you're going to be on the PLE B show, at least make it so that you can watch the entire match in its entirety and not have to get yanked out of it for 5 minutes of commercials 3 times during the match. That's all I ask. If this is truly where we're heading, just at least do that for the fans, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But all that to say, like, if it's Gunther, it'll be good. But it's a bit of a letdown, you know?
Yeah.
Unless they actually do a build for it. And the fact is, if you only got 4 shows left and one of them's got to be Survivor Series, he's going to be on that show, right?
The rumor is he's going to be challenging Dominic for the Intercontinental Championship in that event.
Oh, why frickin' not? But how you? But it comes down to the same problem that's been with Cena's retirement tour, and the same thing that we dealt with Roman Reigns, and when you're dealing with any part-time worker, and John Cena is more part-time than anybody else who's been part-time. Let's at least it feels that way. Because he ain't around to do any building himself. So Gunther is essentially going to have to be building this thing like a one-man promo machine. And I'm sorry to say, and this is going to be the fracking Achilles heel of this thing. You mark my words. Gunther is not, for everything else he does extraordinarily well, he is not the guy who can carry the building of a feud on promos all by himself.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to get old really quickly with Gunther just talking to empty side of the ring.
Can I rebut now?
You go right ahead and butt your rebut.
Thank you. My hope is that when Gunther returns, he is going to be more of a babyface character anyways. Like, I feel like this is going to be a match of respect, and I think it is, similar to what we saw with AJ Styles and Cena at Crown Jewel.
They at least had history.
Sorry?
They at least had history,
They do. But I'm just saying, from a build-up standpoint, as you just said, with promos and that sort of thing, I think it would be like there's no money, there's no juice in him doing his usual stick with John. It just doesn't make sense. But there is juice if it is him as a, student of the craft who has a respect for John and his legacy and wants to be the one to give him a challenge and solid match on his way out, to show kind of that respect and that honor toward him. And when the match is done, if it's Gunther who ends up winning, then it's a sign of respect and on both sides, and it is at that point it is the farewell for John Cena. If Cena wins, it can still be a respect thing. So I don't have as much of an issue with it. I think it's not a bad choice. I kind of like the whole like Lesnar thing, having him kind of go out slaying the beast that always seemed to have his number. But I think Gunther's a good choice. Now, if they go the route of him being a heel, then I think we go into a territory like you're talking about, where it's like, I don't know if this is going to resonate the same way. So
no. The problem I have here is like I said, at least Styles and Cena have history, so the whole like face match works. And the other part is like we've never seen Gunther as a face before. Like he's flirted with it a little bit, but no, he's just been a heel. So I agree. I think you're right. Like it doesn't necessarily work for him to build this as a heel, but it doesn't necessarily even make sense as a face either. The one way this works, I just thought of this, and maybe this is the direction they'll go. Maybe they just don't announce who the last match is going to be. And Cena essentially announces, going back to his open challenge for the U.S. title, he is doing an open challenge for his last match. And maybe that's the return of Gunther.
Okay.
And we get a little bit of a promo beforehand about, I need to measure, if I'm going to come back and I'm going to be who I say I am and be the wrestler I need to measure myself against the greatest of all time. And can I hang with you? That sort of a thing. And a bada bing, and you build it right there, and then they just go right into the action. Yeah. Maybe that works. If it's babyface Gunther trying to build this thing, like I don't know, man. It might work, but
well, again, I
just don't want to see weeks of almost like going back to like Cody trying to jibber jabber for weeks without Cena there. Like I want to avoid that. So either make it quick. Or structure this in a way where it makes sense right away. Don't try and like just drag Gunther out there at the beginning of Raw every single week.
Right. But I do think it works with him as a babyface because of him being, he's not the game like Triple H, but he is clearly someone who honors the legacy and respects the craft of professional wrestling. He is old school. He is, in a lot of ways fun to watch because there is a realness to his fights that you don't get from other people.
True.
And I think that's why it can work if he is more of a good guy than a bad guy. If he goes the bad guy route, I think it can be very shallow and very, cartoonish and, I'm going to slay John Cena, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, okay, whatever. It's his last match. Like that's the thing. We're getting to this point of inevitability with it. Like he is going out and he is no longer going to be an in-ring competitor anymore. So it has to be less about the typical stakes of a wrestling match and more about just, kind of honoring the legacy, the, showing of respect, paying homage to the past, much like how he and Styles did in their match. And so I think he's the right guy to do it because he carries that with him. Gunther does. And that's one of the problems I've had with Gunther because in a lot of his feuds this year, it's been be an ass, beat the guy, and then all of a sudden shake his hand and show respect toward him. And it's like, well, what the hell is it? You're either the arrogant jerk or you're the guy who actually like respects what this guy does. And it's like,
if you beat him, then why would you have respect? Like, I knew that I could beat you. So why would I respect you?
So that's where they've done him a disservice. So it would be good for this one time to have him be the, coming back, because he has a great story coming back with, I had this hellacious match with Punk where I threw everything at him and found that in my arrogance, I arrogance has been my problem this year. This is why, I lost to Jay. This is why I lost to Punk. I now need, I come back with a healthy respect for, who my competitors are. I'm coming back to be more of a competitor and get back to my love of this business. And I think that can be a very compelling Gunther because now he's someone who is a formidable opponent for the heels that if they do overcome him, it elevates those heels. But for him, he can be that kind of representative of the craft of wrestling, which for a long time, resided with folks like Triple H, like Cena, like Styles. Like those guys were all kind of the craftsmen that, like Shawn Michaels. I mean, those were the guys who were the workhorses, and Gunther is one of those workhorses. So anyways, went a little long on this one, but that's my feeling. I think it's a good choice. Maybe there's a better choice. Maybe this doesn't come to fruition. It's someone else. But
the problem is all the better choices would have been better organized like 3-4 months ago. Like if we're still dealing with heel Cena, heading into this, then Gunther actually would make a great returning because then you have him going against a heel Cena. You can easily make Gunther the babyface and be like, I am all about wrestling, and as we all know, John Cena can't wrestle, and then you get the chance, you can't wrestle. I mean, it writes itself at that point. Like that gives you a good in there. But we don't have heel John Cena because he saw the light.
Yes.
That one Friday night, and here we are. So, oh well.
Related to this though is
Yes.
apparently in I did not see this, but I heard about it during the event that I believe the day before Crown Jewel aired, which was on Saturday. For us here in the States, that AJ Styles announced that next year will be his final one as an in-ring competitor. So we are going to have the AJ Styles retirement run next year.
Probably not as ballyhooed as John Cena's.
Yes.
I don't think they'll be making T-shirts for each individual date, but whatever.
But thoughts on that, because Styles, for me, Styles was such a get for WWE, and also it was great to see him come in to a big time company, finally get his flowers as, he, for all intents and purposes, was the Shawn Michaels of really the 2000s all the way through now. I would say it is hard. I am hard pressed to find someone who is as much of a work rate workhorse as AJ Styles was. Just technically.
Well, that's why Taker wanted him in his last match.
Exactly.
He was like, I'd love to work with Shawn Michaels, but Shawn ain't around anymore. This guy, though, is kind of the best that you're going to get to that.
Yep. And he has been, tested, worldwide, both in TNA Impact and in New Japan Pro Wrestling. And so, going back to when I think he came in 2016.
He was a Rumble entrance, right?
Yeah. And he came in when they were still trying to make Roman Reigns a babyface, and he got just an incredible ovation, which he wasn't even expecting. He's like, I don't even know if any of these people are going to know who I am, because of where he's been. And at that time, Vince was in charge, and Vince never acknowledged any other wrestling promotions because it was, taboo and sacrilegious. But but he came in, and it was through his feud with Cena where he was established as, a main event talent. He carried the WWE Championship. He had a couple pretty lengthy reigns. Did a great job as that. They did a little bit of a mini Bullet Club thing with him, and Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows. But as of late, he's been more of, he's been in some feuds where he's been more of kind of that enhancement talent. He was in a good one with Dominic Mysterio that I think, helped elevate Dom. They didn't have the kind of match I thought they were going to have, honestly.
Yeah. It was too tributey.
A little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit.
It was fun, but it was like, yeah.
But I was expecting more in the ring from the two of them than what we got, and I don't know if that was more just AJ working with Dominic's limitations, because as good as Dominic is as a character, I kind of look at him wrestling like, okay, he's not a technical genius in any sense of the word.
There's a lot of, Dominic gets his credit as he should, but he is not the greatest wrestler ever. He's not a top tier guy wrestling wise, and it's fine. Like there's a lot of guys who have drawn a lot of money who are not top tier, technical wrestlers. But it is one of those things where you almost expect that out of him because of his character work and because of the heat that he's had and all that. You almost expect, like, well, of course he's going to be like, he's Eddie Guerrero 2.0. It's like, no,
right?
No, he's not.
Yeah.
But hey, it's neither here nor there. I actually like the heel AJ Styles when he showed back up after injury, and the dude, and it still is, but it seems like he's actually, he hasn't been as jacked as he was when he first came back. When he came back, it was like, dear God, like it's like he swallowed 3 weightlifters. Like what happened?
Yeah.
Because he's not a big guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like is he even 6 feet?
He is. Let me look it up real quick.
He is not an imposing tall dude, and he was jacked like all get out.
No, he's my height. He's 5'11".
Yeah, that's. But I mean, I kind of enjoyed like that edge to him of like that.
He works hard. Like I've seen a couple YouTube videos of his workout regime. I mean, he puts the work in.
Well,
dude.
he's still able to move like that. Like
Yeah.
he might have lost a step, but he also has like 3 or 4 steps more than anyone else. So even him losing a step, he's still ahead. Oh my gosh, I sound like John Madden. I caught myself in the middle of that going
First and
like
7, John. 1st and 7.
I've hit that point. I've got to grow my eyebrows out. Son of a bitch. It's the end. Hey, I already don't love flying.
Oh gosh.
But no, he has put in the work to be this good for this long. And in a way, it's like, as much as it's a bummer to not be able to see him, and in a way, it's a bummer that he hasn't been as big of a deal in the last couple of years, even though he has had some. I mean, he had the match with Cody, and that a great match. Like, it makes you go like, okay, how many good matches does this guy have to have with different people to be like, and we're not giving him another kind of chance to do some more. Why? I mean, he even made that tag team with Almost a lot of fun, and I mean, that's not a slight against Almost. Almost has been good too. At times, but I mean, like he is just that damn good, and it makes you wonder, like, how does this not happen? So hopefully in the next year, he's going to get more chances at this. But I mean, good for him, knowing like I'm done, like I've had enough, and God bless. Hopefully, he's going to be able to walk away without a ton of nagging injuries and stuff that's going to inhibit the rest of his life. And hopefully he's done well with his money and all that. He gets to walk away with some peace and closure and enjoys his life, because he's given more than enough to the business throughout the years, I think. Yep. How's that? Huh?
We will see. We will see what 2026 looks like for one Alan Jones Styles. We will find out.
Is that his actual?
Yes, that is his actual name.
Okay.
Alan Jones.
I can never tell now,
I
because
just
we're making
remember
up for all these people.
I just remember when he's feuding with The Undertaker, he starts calling him Mark, and The Undertaker comes back in another promo, and he's like, Alan Jones. I mean, just the way he says it, it's like, oh boy, you're a dead man.
Well, and then the Boneyard match, wasn't he talking? He was like, come on, Alan.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, Alan.
Oh, yeah.
He's like taunting him. I was like, that's one of those things that made that match work. Like,
yes.
You put 2 other people in that, and it doesn't work at all. But like, there's enough history and enough kind of like, we know how to make this work.
He is 48 years old. I just want to just say that, because you and I are not that far from him, and I look at his physique and what he's doing, and I look at what I'm doing, and like, oh God, I got to look at my choices.
That is a dude who is keeping up on his nutrition.
Oh yes,
he's doing all the right things. As you have some more of your bourbon.
Yes, indeed. Do we want to do the last item here, or do you want to move on? And
let's move on.
Cover it in another.
We can do that next week. I'll still have it in my head.
Sounds good. All right. Take us away, sir. Well, that, my friends, is your Week in Geek.
And what do we have for? And another thing, because I mean, hey, you're already warmed up for talking. What do we have for a suggestion for our viewers?
So Friday night, I went out with the family to see a very family-friendly movie. No, not really. Called The Smashing Machine, starring one Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. It is in theaters, and it is a bit of a snippet kind of story.
Theaters for now.
For now, yes. It is in theaters at this moment.
Make sure you check your listings before you go. It might be gone midweek at this point.
Possibly. But we have Dwayne Johnson, Emily Blunt, who plays his girlfriend, and then Ryan Bader, who plays Mark Coleman. I believe Ryan Bader is an actual UFC fighter, and also playing himself Bas Rutten, who is a very famous UFC, at one point UFC fighter, but very famous coach, who is, I guess, trained a number of different fighters who have made it into the octagon. So.
All right.
But no, it is a story about Mark, basically about the UFC fighter Mark Kerr, who probably a lot of people don't know who he is, but he was one of, along with Coleman, Dan Severin's, a few others who were kind of like the foundational like talent and fighters that really kind of helped launch UFC and not a related organization, but a competing organization, Pride, back in the 90s when really the UFC was viewed as very barbaric and very violent as compared to boxing. And so it's a bit of a story of his, his rise, his rise, his fall, and then his rise again. It in some ways sounds a very, like a very Rocky-esque sort of story, but it doesn't. As I was telling Uncle Todd in our pre-production meeting, it does not play out that way. It is a very textured and very different movie about a fighter who goes through those highs and lows than what I had seen before. And to that tune, I would say, as an example to kind of demonstrate that, in a lot of the matches, of course there's music playing, but it's not music that heightens the action. It's music that kind of complements in some ways the chaos and the violence that's happening in the ring, or it's meant to offset the violence with, like I said at one point to Uncle Todd, there's a match where KR is just pounding the crap out of his opponent, but there's like this jazz music playing, and when he's doing the pounding, of course the jazz music gets really frantic, where it's like really picking up pace and be. So I mean, it is related to the match, but it's not like in Rocky where you always felt like the music that what was his name, Ray Conti was the or was it Bill Conti? I think
Bill
was his
Conti,
name.
yes.
What was directly related to the action going on. Like I always felt like the music mirrored the movements in the ring and really helped like amplify the emotion of the moment. This music kind of helps amplify just the action that's going on, but just in a very different way. It's not hard rock. It's not, what you would typically associate with a fighting movie. And so anyway, so I would just recommend it. It was very good. I know the box office hasn't been kind to it, but critically it's been lauded as a a great entry. A24, who is the company behind it, they usually put out very, very solid outings, and I feel like this is a solid outing. It just may not be in the wheelhouse for the general viewing audience, because it is about UFC. People may not be interested in it. It just may not be their thing. And like I said, Mark Kerr is not, a household name the way that he was in the late 90s, early 2000s. And so, but I feel like The Rock does a great job. Something can be said about some of the prosthetics and makeup that's done to make him look like Mark Kerr. It does kind of, seems like he transforms, in a couple different ways. And at one point I said to Uncle Chad, he kind of looked like O.J. Simpson at one point. So I'm not quite sure
which I'm guessing wasn't a production note. Like, hey, can you make him look more like OJ in this one?
Yes.
Can you do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all that being said, The Smashing Machine, do check it out in theaters if it's still there.
Yes. It was outdrawn in its opening weekend by Taylor Swift's Life of a Showgirl premiere movie, which as far as I can tell I think it's just like the album. I don't know what exactly it is. I know it's not an actual movie. As for me, I'm going to recommend Return to Sender by Craig Johnson. It is the 21st novel in Craig Johnson's Walt Longmire series of mysteries. This is, of course, the books that the show Longmire was based off of. So let's go back here, and I'll read you the description because it's the easiest way for me to describe this thing. Walt Longmire is back after the escapades of First Frost and encounters one of his most baffling cases in Wyoming's brutal and unforgiving Red Desert. When Blair McGowan, the male person with the longest postal route in the country of over 300 miles a day, goes missing, the question becomes, where do you look for her? The postal inspector of the state of Wyoming elicits Sheriff Longmire to mount an investigation into her disappearance, and Walt does everything but mail it in. Posing as a letter carrier himself, the good sheriff follows her trail and finds himself enveloped in the intrigue of an otherworldly cult. Here's the thing, folks. Like any series, any mystery series, any kind of you're along for the characters and just kind of a good yarn, and you're not necessarily looking for like, oh my gosh, this is a book that's going to change my life. These books have been kind of comfort food for me over the last couple of years, just going through the entire series. And yes, I have read all 21 books so far to date. And they're just fun. And if you enjoy the characters, you're just going to kind of enjoy their adventures. And that's kind of what I've just been doing. going through these. And I came to these books actually after having watched the Longmire TV show that it was based off of. So kind of went in reverse for it, but they're just fun. And if you like mysteries, like, I don't know that I would necessarily start with this one because there are some things that you would have to kind of catch up on. However, actually, if you did just want to jump in, this one, now that I think about it, not too bad, because there's only a couple of references that you would have to catch up on, and you could probably pick those up and then start back at one and work your way towards this one. Because since it is books, we have to wait a good 6 to 10 months for a new one to come out, or another year. So you might be able to zip through all of those and catch right up for the next one. But yeah, Return to Sender by Craig Johnson. It's a good one. It's fun. It's a fun read, and another trip down the road with Walt Longmire.
Return to Sender. Boom, 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 boom.
I was waiting for my musical accompaniment. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is our show for Week in Geek Wednesday. Thank you all for joining us. You can find all of our podcasts at freerangeedc.com for the audio version. You can go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@freerangeedc. You can find all of our episodes there in video. We're on podcast purveyors of all kinds, reputable and unreputable, I guess. I don't know how many are reputable, because quite honestly, who really gets paid on any of these things? I don't know how many do. So we're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, Amazon, Podbean, a whole bunch of others. Just go ahead and search for us. You're bound to find us. We're on the social medias as well. We're on Facebook, Instagram, the aforementioned YouTube. All of those are at Free Range EDC. If you have any thoughts, concerns, questions, or offers of outright bribery, send those to tim@freerangeedc.com. And ladies and gentlemen, that is it for my portion of the show. Tim, take us home.
Ladies and gentlemen, the score right now, 168 to 151. Best in the world's about to lock up victory number 1 for the season. But as we like to close things out here, yes, suspect, we don't know what your reputation is in this town, but after what you tried to pull today, you can bet we'll be looking into you. Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and until that day comes, keep your ear to the grindstone.
Now get the hell out of here!